What's up, guys? It's the Brazilian Brothers with Kiteboarding, and we're here with kite designer legend Ralf Groesel. We are doing a kite bar specific episode where we're going to ask him some very important questions about bar lines and everything around it. I wanted to start this episode with the question about low V and high V because we've been testing kites, and for us, it is very clear how a kite performs drastically different whether you're using a low V and a high V setting. So how does that affect a kite performance, and why is it that generally speaking, you are a high V guy, right? Except with Reedon. Reedon, I guess it's a low V, but basically the question is, why is it that you maybe prefer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, why do you prefer the high V, and how does it affect kite performance?
So a couple of questions actually over there to answer. So first of all, why high V on my kite designs? Because I'm used to it. Mm-hmm. And it is quite different to design a kite depending on a high V or on a low V. So first of all, let's explain the difference in feel. The high V creates a feeling, or let's say forces the kite to fly a little bit further out of the wind window. So you're basically having more structural stability to the arc, to the frame of the kite, versus the low V, where you're generally more connected to the backlines. So this translates into a low V kite is normally more reactive than a kite made for a high V. So I always say, like, if I have to design a kite on a low V, I get the handling for free. But then I have to work on all the, let's say, performance attributes much harder than I would work on a high V, where I get the performance for free, but I have to work on the handling. So you can see it is just the opposite, and you definitely have to decide which way you want to go, because it makes quite a difference. And the challenge is to make both concepts work.
That's so interesting because, I definitely feel a drastic difference when I'm flying kites. And of course, I think the current dogma in the industry is if you have a kite that was designed to be used with a low V, you should just stick with it. But I have maybe a broader philosophy, which is if you have a kite that is low V, it's meant to be used for low V, you should buy a splitter and you should fly that kite with a high V and see how it feels. Do you agree with this analysis? Do you think people should experiment, or do you think people should just go with whatever the kite is intended to be used?
I think generally, I think every company tries to make or to create the perfect package, which normally includes the bar. But it is easy to figure it out for yourself. And of course, it can come down to personal preference. But from a commercial aspect, it is very not good to confuse you guys out there, because, like, for example, if I design the kite on a low V, then I do it like by purpose. The same with the high V. So I design the kite in the 3D model according to the bar I'm going to use, but not only to high or low, but also to the specific details within the bar.
Which actually is a great lead up to my next question, which is, we've noticed that you can maintain the kite as a constant variable and then change the bar in which you fly that kite, meaning you have two bars from different brands, they're both low V, and the kite flies drastically differently. Are we crazy, or is there something behind that?
No, absolutely not. You're 100% correct. The difference in bar and lines is sometimes greater than the different kite models itself, from brand to brand, actually. So there are, let's say, maybe a handful of bars available on the market right now, which are creating a significantly different flight characteristics and tons of more performance than others, and this is mainly due to the used material of the bridle lines itself and the diameter and the way these lines are woven together. and maybe you have a bar you prefer. I don't know. It is extreme, I would say sometimes.
Great. And then one final question, which relates to bar safety. What do you recommend for people who are maybe kiting, I don't know, let's say 50 hours a year, I think is generally a good average for most people. Let's say the average rider out there. What are the main things that rider can do to preserve their bar integrity and their line integrity? And actually, a follow-up question is, how often should we be changing lines? And should we actually changing lines themselves, and how often should we be checking the lines themselves? That's a lot there, but hopefully you can unpack the safety, how to make sure your bar is in tune, and how do you maintain your bar in good working function.
Okay, so the bar is really something essential because it is the connection between us and the kite, and the kite cannot perform if the bar is not working. So first of all, depending on which bar you're using, you have to check your line length frequently. So most, not all, but most of the bars out there have the tendency that the backlines shrink to a point where your kite actually doesn't fly anymore. And then you can see the people trimming on the beach just to make the kite fly, which is not good. So that's the first point. So make sure that normally, for most of the brands, that your front and your back lines, when you hold on to the bar, so you're not depowering, you're fully powered, should be more or less equal in length, all at the same end. If there's a delta, if the back lines are 2.5, 3 centimeters shorter, okay, no problem. But if they are 8, 9, 10 centimeters, the kite will not fly. Not a single of my designs would even fly with a bar like this. It's very important. And then changing lines only if you see a damage or you crashed or something, but it's much more about checking your lines. And checking your lines is not only running your lines through the fingers and feel if there's a damage, but you definitely also have to look on the hidden parts. And especially on most of the low V bars, you have a metal piece where the safety line runs through, like from the bar basically to your leader lines. And this is somewhere it has to be blocked. And that area of blockage, this should be always cleaned with fresh water. Not always, not after every session. That is absolutely not necessary. But let's say once a month. Take it out. It's very easy. Take it out, wash it, clean it, and then basically it slides back again. That is the most important, the hidden parts. So also to try to understand how it works. I think that's one of the most important ones.
Very well. Well, you've heard it here from the man himself. Make sure to check your lines because we couldn't agree with this more. Your kite is going to feel like crap if your back lines are shrunk and out of tune. And make sure to continue to check your lines because the last thing you want is to be out there in 30 knots wondering, is this line going to snap or not, right?
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to thank Ralf once again for giving us so much of his time. We really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to MACkite on YouTube and to follow the Brazilian Brothers and Ralf on Instagram for more awesome kite surfing content. See you in the next video.
Thank you very much. See you.